So you want to start a podcast, eh? Here's 3 tips to keep in mind. As a voiceover talent, have you ever thought about starting a podcast? It can be really beneficial to your career in several ways. One of those ways is to give you material to submit for jobs. Heidi's actually had many requests for podcast clips for voiceover auditions and certain jobs. Recently on the Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceoverTraining.com podcast, she talked with Tim Heller, a voiceover talent and host of the Second Cup podcast. There he talks about the pros and cons of hosting a podcast. So before you start yours, make sure you check out his episode. I'll link it in the notes. Here's his 3 tips if you're going to start a podcast. Number 1, make sure the volume is between -12 dB and -6 dB. He says because people are listening on their phones or on their computers, typically doing other things like driving or working or cleaning, the volume should be a little higher than usual. You don't want it to clip, but definitely get it higher than usual. Number 2, before you launch, have 3 episodes in the can. He says the initial launch is basically really important for the charts. So before you launch, make sure you have enough so that you can publish them right away. This gives people a lot of content to listen and keep listening to. Tim's tip number 3, decide on a realistic consistency, as in a consistency for you. The one thing that we hear from everyone who starts a podcast is, it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. 100% true. That's why Heidi transitioned from her Heidi Root podcast, which was more interview related, to the Encourage Minute podcast, which was more short form. Because of all the other stuff that she has going on, she knew that if she could get rid of all the interview time and the booking time and then the editing time, all of that it would give her enough time to continue podcasting. And for us here with the Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceoverTraining.com podcast, we release it once a month on the first of each month. And because of that allows us to remain consistent. So if you're going to do a podcast, record 3 episodes and figure out how much time it took for you to put all of that together. Then figure out how often you can find that time to do that. Is it once a month? Once a week? If you feel like that may be just too frequent, maybe you do 2 seasons a year with just 4 episodes. Get creative with it. Oh, and you don't have to be like Joe Rogan and go for 3 hours. Odds are, if you're not a celebrity or you don't have a strong hook, people aren't going to listen for that long. Figure out what you're about and enjoy the process. And hey, let us know if you're planning to start a podcast. We'd love to listen. Thanks for watching. Please give us a thumbs up. Our mission here at the Atlanta Voiceover Studio and ProVoiceoverTraining.com is to equip, elevate, and inspire you in your voiceover journey.